So how do we love like God? I want to bring you to the prodigal son. The story that Jesus uses about the prodigal son. And I want to bring out a point in this thing. So we have the choice to willfully sin. Okay? He willfully took his own money. He willfully decided to leave his father's house. He willfully decided to go into the world. Okay? So we were in safe protection. Sorry, my phone just fell. We were in safe protection. And then we decide to leave that. So he goes out into the world, he spends all of his money, and he ends up finding himself in a pigsty. He's tending the pigs. And he thinks to himself, he's like, you know what, my father's servants get fed way better than this. So that is like our turning point in our life, that we say, hey, I could be somewhere so much better. I know there's someplace better. And as we notice this whole thing, we know God's right there with us. God has not ever left us nor forsaken us. And that thought that comes into that son's mind is not all just his. He knows God's there. He gets up out of the pigsty and he goes running home. Okay? If you've ever been around pigs, if you've ever been around livestock, you know they're not a very clean creature and they stink. This part of the story never says he goes and cleans up, doesn't say he takes a shower, doesn't say he changes his clothes. So he leaves in his filth. And he goes running home. He's going home, he's walking home, he's having conversations in his head. How is this all going to go? I'm just going to ask my dad to be a servant. Like, I'm not even good enough to be your son again, but I want to be your servant. His father sees him from a long way off. And if this doesn't bring tears to your eyes, I don't know what can. He looks and he sees his son coming home. He doesn't wait for his son to come home. He doesn't stand there at the doorway knowing that he's coming and choosing to be mean to him, or, well, finally you came home. Those are not the words that are said there. What is said at this point is that the father runs to his son. He runs to his son. Runs. And greets him. He brings the best robe. He throws the best robe on him and gives him a kiss. Mind you, this man has not showered, has not cleaned up, has been living with pigs. If you think you need to clean up your life, if us as Christians feel like we need to make people feel like they need to clean up their life before they come to Christ, we are totally sending the wrong narrative of who God is. That is not who God is, and that is never God's intention with us. He wants us to come dirty, filthy. I remember a pastor saying, this guy came up to him and asked him, do I have to stop smoking pot? And he said, no. Nope. That's between you and God. I'm not going to tell you what you got to do. That's between you and God. God will take the dirty things out of your life. God will clean those things up, but on God's time. If we look at the prodigal son's story, he didn't say, okay, son, well, I need you to go take a shower. I need you to, before I kiss you, before I do anything. Think about it if us Christians embraced people just like Jesus embraces the prodigal son coming home. I just want to talk about this point because there is another side of the story. And I think the other side of the story we need to look at also. The brother is mad. Dad, I've been here. I have been serving you. Why this? Do we so forget what God has done? We may not have done horrible sins to be forgiven from and stuff like that. But what have we done? We do. We still faithfully serve God, and we watch God let these really dirty, nasty people become saved. And sometimes the hardness of our heart is, why do they get this fine treatment? Why do you? And understand, He does that for every one of us, not just the prodigal, not just someone who's turned away. We were given that same treatment too. But the thing is, we've so much enjoyed the treatment, and we live in that lap of luxury of being a child of God. So guys, when we see people that we don't think deserve God, you know, we're like, oh, that person did horrible things. We have to understand that that person's just like us. We could have fallen into that sin just like they did. And you know what? Pride becomes before the fall. Don't think that something like that wouldn't happen to you. I know when I was 19 years old and I was 18 years old and I got pregnant and had a baby at 19. I remember parents say, oh, my children would never do that. My children would never do that. Crazy enough, a couple of their kids did end up pregnant. Crazy enough, their children were living in the same life I was living in. They just, you know, God chose not to let them have a kid at that point in time in their life. So we have to watch what we say. Because when you come and you're condemning people, no one wants to come to Jesus. But if you come loving and you just sit with them, oh, Jennifer, I'm endorsing the sin. No, you're not. You're still giving them a little bit of Jesus every day. That's all you got to do. Give them a little bit of Jesus every day. And it doesn't have to be a scripture. It doesn't have to be Bible. It's just you sitting in the muck and the mire with them and loving them through those decisions. So take some time today. Look in your own life. Are you sitting through the muck and the mire with your own children? Are you sitting it with other friends? Or are you waiting for them to clean up or waiting for them to get out of that bad habit before you can love them again? I want you guys just take some consideration on this, because this is a really hard thing that we want, that we just don't know how to do. And here's my thing. We're not loving hard enough. We're loving just enough, but we're not giving it all. So I ask you to go before God. Read the prodigal son. Read it until it breaks your heart to know that that is our God. Our God welcomes us in no matter what we've done. And no sin is too far from God. So I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you later.